This Sunday, in addition to being the fifth Sunday after Epiphany, is also the Three Choir Festival. This has been a gathering that we have done now 6 times, although it's stretched on a few more years than that because we had a few years that we couldn't do it because of the pandemic. But it's the 6th iteration of the Three Choir Festival and our 2nd time to host. So this is a time that our treble choir gets together with treble choirs from All Souls Cathedral in Asheville and Christ Episcopal Church in Charlotte, both of those, of course, in North Carolina. And we visit each of the 3 choirs' home bases, rotating around. And as I say, this is our 2nd time to host, and we're extremely pleased to do so. So we'll be welcoming in both the resident musicians and the treble choirs from those 2 congregations. They'll be here with us all weekend. We have a full day Saturday planned with lots of activities and rehearsal. We have a scavenger hunt downtown, as well as a stop at the escape room downtown. We have a lot of really wonderful things for the children from these 3 choirs to be able to interact and have fellowship, as well as time to make music and to learn more about our tradition. So this is a real highlight for our treble choir. Every year they look forward to this 3 Choir Festival, and it's a big part of what they get out of the choir program. So you can see we have a few extra chairs. We will be welcoming a bunch of different people, and so we will have expanded the seating here in the chancel. The liturgy will have to accommodate that a little bit, but it will not be very different. You won't know a lot of difference. The main thing is, like we do on Christmas Eve and on other various high impact times, we will be doing communion at stations because it's just a little bit tight to have congregation come up into the chancel. We will also be taking advantage of the expanded choral resources, and we will have the choir sing parts of the Eucharistic service. This is a very traditional thing in all Christian traditions, and especially in the Anglican tradition. So as we come in after the Collect for Purity, the choir will sing the Gloria in Excelsis, and more on that in just a moment. At the Eucharistic prayer, the choir will sing the Sanctus and the Agnus Dei during the beginning of the distribution. And those 3 movements are all coming from a Missa Brevis, a small mass by Franz Joseph Haydn. And it's a mass that, of course, he would have composed for Catholic worship in Vienna. And it has, what was very typical for masses at that time, there will be a few strings. We have 2 violins and bass, plus the organ, and then the choir. Missa Brevis, small mass, meaning that it's not going to be a big elaborate setting. We think of sometimes the things like Beethoven's Missa Solemnis or the great C minor mass of Mozart, these works that take an hour. This is a very short mass, and one of the ways that Haydn achieves that succinct quality is by a technique called telescoping. So you'll notice that the setting of the Gloria in Excelsis that we will sing at the beginning of the service is only about a minute long. In fact, it's even shorter than the setting that we sing every week by Robert Powell. And he does that by having the sopranos sing part of the text while the altos sing a different part of the text, and the tenors another part of the text, and the bass is a 4th part. And so he stacks all of the different text on top of each other. Not great for intelligibility, but it makes really good music, and it doesn't bog down the timing of the liturgy. At the offertory rather, the treble choirs, the combined treble choirs will be singing an anthem together, and throughout the service then the adults will be joining in for all of the hymns. The choir will sing the psalm and Anglican chant, and the adults will also join the trebles in singing the communion anthem. So it's a really wonderful celebratory event, and it's so fitting that the readings for the 5th Sunday of the Epiphany season they pick up sort of where Micah left off with that do justice, walk humbly before your Lord. And it's an Isaiah version of that same theme where he talks about the sacrifice that God wants is a sacrifice of a pure heart and showing yourself to the world as an example of God's love. And then the gospel, which talks about that very familiar passage of don't hide your light under a bushel, let it shine, be a light to the world around us. And so that's exactly what we will be seeking to do here, letting our lights shine, both for our community here at St. John's as well as for Knoxville, as we show forth God's praise and the light of that of the season with our worship. We hope that you will join us here this weekend at St. John's Cathedral.